It's your birthday today, so you can have it, whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. You're live.
Thanks.
It's way too
Just
long.
hide behind you.
Is Mark coming? No.
Just working on our report,
Which one?
our updates.
Oh. Well, that's not for today.
No, but I'd like to get the agenda out today, if not tomorrow.
Oh.
If you get it right on, you get a free lunch.
Yeah, you gotta buy it. And pay for my travel to OK Falls to have it. Call the meeting to order. I want to acknowledge the Smokeman Valley in which we learn, work, and organize is the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of the Smokeman people and home of the Upper Smokeman Indian Band. Before we adopt the agenda, I have 3 additions. 6.2, which is a report on the Fenchurch Sanitary Lift Station replacement from Jared. 7.2 is a report on HCDC grant application, and 7.3, which is a Reddit grant application under account reports. And with that, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the changes?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
Elliott and Gould, all in favor? Carried, thank you. Adoption of the September 17th regular meeting of council minutes.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Gonna give it to Willis, and I'll let Elliott second that.
No, actually,
Oh, okay. McLean second. All in favor? Carried. And we go down to present Nick Urkel from CEO of Corncurd. Step up to the mic. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Is this working? Does it need to work?
Yeah.
I can't tell from where the speakers are here. So, the Mayor has met me before, but most of Council probably haven't. And so I thought this was just a good opportunity to come in and tell you a little bit about who we are, since we are the new owners of what was the warehouse Princeton operation. So just a quick bit of background. I am the CEO of the company, as the Mayor pointed out. I've been that for about 5 years, but I was co-CEO for 5 years before that. But I've actually been with the company for 50 years. I started in August 2075, August the 15th, just piling lumber at the mill. And then I ended up marrying the youngest daughter of one of the owners of the mill, which always helps. But that was many, many years later, after I'd gone to university, taken a forestry degree. So by profession and training, I'm an RPF. So that was always my interest, was forest stewardship way back at the beginning. And then I got into other various roles at the company. And now I'm sitting where I sit, overseeing a really top-notch group of people that work for us. So it's still family-owned and operated, based out of West Kelowna. We are BC, here to stay, nurtured, bred in this province, and we believe in the province, and we double down in the province. Purchasing this operation is a stretch by any means. For us as a privately owned family company, we're buying a big operation. This is adding about 50% to the size of our company. So why? It's a good question. I've been asked that by many people as to what are you thinking? At a time when there's timber supply constraints in the province, many challenges to getting fibre supply. Why would you do this? Well, that's part of it. Is we think we understand BC. We think we understand the southern part of BC. We believe we needed to grow to add to our company. And so why grow? It's not growing just for the sake of growing. It's growing because it really adds to the synergies that we can benefit from. So we have multiple operations. Many people probably aren't aware. They drive by the mill site as you head towards Kelowna from Peachland. As soon as you get off the Coquihalla connector and you head north, that's our mill site right there. And that's what we call the homestead. That's where it all started 75 years ago. So same ownership, 75 years later, although that was started by two brothers and their wives back then. Now it's just one brother side of the family that owns it. The other side decided they had no succession planning, so they sold to the one other brother and his wife. Back in 1990, we purchased an operation up in Revelstoke, so we'd be the largest employer in Revelstoke. It's primarily a cedar mill, but it also does other products as well there. Then 11, 12 years ago, 2013, we purchased a plywood operation just outside of Salmonarm. So that used to be the Federated Cooperatives operation. Now we call it Canoe Forest Products. And interesting enough, that there's a high probability that we'll be calling this operation Princeton Forest Products. We think it's important that there's always that connection to the legacy history of an operation in its community and the way the community sees it. So we had a lot of different names put forward. Vermilion Forks actually was one of them, but we felt that was too much of a mouthful for some of our customers to get their heads around. So we think it's probably going to land with Princeton Forest Products. We also have a pole division just outside of Lumby, so just east of Vernon, that makes about 20,000, 25,000 telephone poles a year. Small operation, only about 8 people there. And then we have just across the border in the United States in Oroville, just south of Soyuz, we have a remanufacturing plant there that adds to what we have in our operations in BC. Some people say, well, have you not just exported jobs from BC down there? And I go, no, actually, with the trade dispute we have going on with the US right now, that actually complements what we do in BC and protects a lot of our BC assets. And then, of course, in the last 3 weeks, we purchased this operation. Again, when I talk about synergies, we think strength in the industry today is diversity. Our mill in Revelstoke, primarily a cedar mill. That's it going into the exterior home finishing renovation market. Plywood operation is plywood. Again, very different product than the other operations, and veneer, that we sell off veneer often to other companies and get logs back in return. The Gorman West Bank operation, West Kelowna operation, is a board mill. No dimension lumber at all. It's a 3/4 inch finished board used in the interior home finishing renovation market. And then this operation here gives us diversity in that they do some structural lumber. So they do some traditional 2x4, 2x6 going into the housing construction market. But they also do MSR, machine stress rated product, and they also do J-grade going into Japan. So when you look at the synergies and all the different products we produce by mills that are set up very differently, if you go into them, they will look very different. Different equipment, different setup, different flow of lumber. But it's all about getting the right log to the right mill. Now, this is a term that the industry uses quite liberally, right log, right mill. But we say no, it goes so much further than that. It's right log, right mill, at the right time, the right cost, going into the right product, sold into the right program to maximize margin. Because at the end of the day, if we're not maximizing margin or getting any margin, then we can't pay wages and pay taxes and everything else. So it's all about extracting the highest value. This is not at the expense of good, sound forest management. And I actually had a discussion this morning with our head of woodlands here, Nolan Druck, who some of you may know. We're trying to come up with a name. It's funny how we just purchased a mill. You'd think there'd be a number of other items on the list to be talked about, but they wanted to know what should they call their woodlands department, because they traditionally call themselves the timberlands department. The rest of our operations call themselves the woodlands department. And so should they be called woodlands or should they be called timberlands? So today I threw a cat amongst the pigeons, and said maybe it should be something completely different. Maybe it should be Gorman Forest Stewardship Group, because we've got to change our thinking. this is very much about getting communities, First Nations, part of the planning and thinking around getting access to fibre and into the mill, but not at the expense of good sound forest management. So we've got to rethink the way we see the forest and the way we look at the forest. So that will be part of what we'll be doing here. So I don't know how much time I have, Mr. Mayor. You're probably on a really tight schedule, but more I wanted to open it up if there's any questions for us. We sell into various parts of the world. The US is always a big market for us. 55% of our product would go south of the border. 30% would stay here in Canada, but the rest would go to about 30 different countries scattered around the world. Not all at once, but at certain different times, depending on exchange rates, depending on market demand and needs. We do sell. So we've got that flow into various markets already designed and already prepared. So we do have a wide range of flexibility available to us. The biggest challenge we have right now, of course, and I think everyone woke up this morning hearing that there was a Section 232, which is under the Trade Expansion Act in the US. That is an executive order where the President has decided, after a review, that we are a national security threat. Lumber is, along with other products. What they said was it was lumber and derivative products. So lumber, they've tacked on another 10% tariff on top of the 35% duty that we're already paying. So now we'll be paying 45% surcharge on everything going across the border. But other parts of the lumber industry, such as cabinetry, people making kitchen cabinets, those kind of things, they're going to get hit with a 25% duty under this Trade Expansion Act, Section 232. So this means that the next year is probably going to be very challenging for the industry, and I think there's that old African proverb that it takes a community to raise a child. I often say it takes a community to run a forest company. We need to work together, and that would be one of my appeals, would be that collectively we keep you in touch with what we're doing, why we're doing it, and you also give us feedback as to what you think we can do better, because we certainly don't have all the answers. And when you're being hit with this kind of headwind of duties and tariffs combined, it's going to be tough. And there will be companies in this province that will not survive if it goes on for, I would say, more than a year. So that's the brutal fact. But we believe we're best positioned once the dust is settled and once the air is cleared and the noise is gone, which it will eventually. We all know that if history doesn't repeat itself, it certainly rhymes. And so at some point we'll come out of this and there'll be a trade relationship that works with the United States again. And so we just got to make sure we're prepared and ready for that. So yeah, if there's any questions at all, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
First of all, I think we all appreciate the name Princeton. So, I also appreciate the explanation on why you bought your with the minister. And I asked the question of the lady that was dealing with the transfer, the sale, and all that sort of thing, and asked her why did they buy this? And she had no answer. Where you answered it perfectly. Lastly, a former council member used to work for Gorman's a number of years ago, and he couldn't go on enough about what a great company to work for, what great people to work for. So when it was announced that that you were purchasing Weyerhaeuser, I was already completely at ease with it, because it's I think your history is one that's being good to deal with the people that are working for you and good to deal with your customers and that sort of thing. So anyway, thanks very much for today.
Well, thank you very much for the comments.
No comments, but welcome. Thanks for coming in to see us.
Thank you very much. If I could just get 2 minutes, because I'll tell you a story which I think supports what you were saying, Councillor. It was many years ago. I was driving up to our operation in Revelstoke, and I had Ross Gorman, so one of the founders, sitting in the car with me, and I said to him, Ross, did you ever think the mill would get this big? He started with 3 or 4 family members working, building apple boxes way back in 1951 after a serious freeze had frozen their orchards. And now you own a mill in Revelstoke. You've just bought a plywood operation in Canoe, just outside of Salmonarm. I said, did you ever think this would happen? He goes, no, I never thought it would happen. And I said, did it ever scare you that this has happened? He goes, yeah, it did. And I said, did you ever have a fear about growing like this? He goes, yeah, I had a fear. And I said, well, what was your fear? And he said, I always had a fear we'd get found out. And I said to him, what do you mean by found out? I had to hesitate for a second. And he said, we get found out that my brother and I really weren't very smart. And this really goes to that founder imposter syndrome that you hear. And I said, you know, Ross, you couldn't be more wrong. I said, what you did was you were farmers, and you understood community, you understood people, you understood family, you understood what it meant to bring people together, work collectively together to be successful. Because when we're successful together, we then go home and we're coaches of local football teams or hockey teams or whatever it might be. You're on committees in the community. That's what really matters. It's making sure we're successful together so we can do the things that really are important. Looking after young children, looking after aged parents, those kind of things. When people saw that, they wanted to work for you. And what that did was that brought good people in, and then you gave them long leashes. You gave them long leashes to be very entrepreneurial in their thinking and the way they behaved. And that is why today we're a high value company versus a commodity lumber company. I said, so yeah, you didn't go to MBA school. He didn't even get grade 12. But boy, did he ever have all the skills that someone who does those things would likely have, or maybe not have by the time they finished all that. And I think that really goes to some of the values you brought out on our commitment to community and commitment to family members.
Great. It's nice that we're getting all that besides another company that ensures the longevity of our mill here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll probably talk to each other soon.
I would like to thank the Mayor for the support he's given. I've met with him a number of times now, and we know that there's a lot more help we can get as we go forward. Again, it goes back to it takes a community to run a forest company, and we feel very fortunate we've got such a supportive elected group here to help us with that.
Thanks, Nick. Okay. Let's go to 6.1. Replacement heating and air conditioning system town maintenance. I believe that's why Chris is here. He's a little bit out of shape.
Only here to fill in any unanswered questions.
So I was asked to go back and do a RFP.
That's
Well,
what.
Oh, right.
I gotta recuse myself.
Yes.
It's all yours.
Do you want to go up there?
Your choice.
So council asked me to go back and do a RFP because the last quotes that we had were too different. So we've gone back, we posted it for an extra week, longer than we anticipated because it was a slow response. We only had 2 responses come forward with proposals. They are of the equal systems this time. So based on the matrix for the evaluation, it did come out that one quote was scored higher than the other one. So I am asking council to approve Josh Coyne's contracting as the recommended score, I guess, of the evaluation. If there's any questions.
A question. So Chris, with the contract, the 2 bids that you did and with the RFP, does that meet the needs of the building with the 5 separate zones of the heating and cooling that you?
Yes, so the 2 of them did look at it, and They're gonna do it in 2 systems, 2 zones.
Okay.
So,
And then because
Yeah,
that was
and-
the last time was the feeling was that the proposed one from the one contractor wouldn't be sufficient, so your rationale was to go with the other one. So but now you've got a bid for a system that's gonna meet the needs of that building. And it's been clarified then that the electrical is not an issue because it was said that one was removed from the annex for the park.
yes.
That's it. Okay, well, good, that's good. My only other question, I guess, would be the finance. The recommendation is based on, in our community, or our financial plan was on it being surplus operational. So, I'm just wondering, is that within this year's budget?
Yeah, so we originally planned on 200,000 plus 50,000 contribution regardless because of the cost share. We're 58, so we should be able to find the surplus financials quite easily.
Okay, so 50 was already in the financial plan and 8 is what's the surplus?
Yeah, 250 is authorized in the financial plan, so we don't have to go back to it.
Right, but the source of funds is the question.
That's right. Yeah, the source of funds come to supplement, so we should be okay.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Moved by Councilor Willis,
I'll second that.
by Councilor Elliott. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried.
And now you're professional.
See you in 2 weeks with another one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get back to work.
Okay. 6.2, Jared.
Thank you. So yeah, this is from a report that council has already approved for applying for funding to relocate the Ventures lift station. When you apply for funding for some of these grants, they require pretty specific wording. So I just received an email today that we're just missing a little bit of wording from the resolution. So the report in itself is all the same, everything's the same. They just asked that there be a line in there asking that council support any cost overruns from the total expenditure, if they are. And if there ever was anyways, it would have to come back to council for approval. So that's the only change.
Questions?
Prior to the meeting, James had mentioned something about the location. Has that changed? Or was it always going to be?
We had spoke about it a little bit before. It still can be up in the air, but the ideal location is kind of just behind the plaza, behind the annex building.
Okay.
That would it would fit into the system a lot better at the lesser cost.
Okay.
And if it was there, it would be state-of-the-art, like odor control, all that kind of stuff, and make it look pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can blend it in with the aesthetics.
Yes,
and what
most
everything
definitely.
does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put a bathroom.
Yeah, definitely could.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
James also indicated before the meeting that the footprint would be smaller. Do you have approximate size?
Not quite offhand because we're looking at a couple different options for the actual part that goes underground.
Okay.
So yeah, not huge, that's for sure.
Make the motion as presented.
Thank you. Councilor Willis, moving, seconded.
I'll second that motion. Thank you.
Councilor Willis, all in favor? Cleary.
I'm stressing them out a little bit.
We don't have to. Next one is council reports, and I'll start with, I'm gonna start with Councilor Willis, because I know Councilor Elliott wrote a big line on that, so go ahead, Councilor Willis.
I don't have much to report other than UBCM. I thought it went really well. We had great minister meetings and the other workshops and stuff were good. Yeah, I think it was well run and it was beautiful weather. And Yeah, it was a good, I think, it was a good one too, for sure.
Thank you. Councilor Wood?
Well, I did not attend the UBCM this year as working. Prior to the UBCM, though, I did attend the Harvest Festival, which was a big success, and BC High School Rodeo. The rodeo had quite a few, well, an increase in enrollment in last year, and in talking to a lot of the participants, they liked our venue, and that there was, with the Harvest Festival and the Twin Rivers Event Society, they were able to put on a lot of free food, free beverages, and free activities. So their goal was to make it a family event that didn't cost a lot of money to take your kids to. So I would say that was a success, and hats off to all the organizers to that. And other than that, yesterday at work, we up at the mine recognized the National Day for Reconciliation, and they put a new haul truck out on the road that has an orange box to it, which they will run all year, so that it's not just one day that they want to recognize that. And so we have a big group photo. Actually, let's stop for a few. Might have been our lunch break.
You let out of your truck.
That was pretty cool. And we all had purchased t-shirts for everyone, so it was really nice. It was just good. It's good to see the recognition, and the heartfelt comments from management was really good too. Recognizing that we have a lot of members out there too. Some are first generation that weren't in residential schools, so that was, and when one of my friends said that, I was just like, yeah, put that in perspective. So, anyway.
Thank you. No, Councilor Hall.
Aside from UBCM, I missed the last regular meeting of Town Council as I was in Kelowna for a quarterly meeting of the Library Board. And at that meeting, ORL CEO Danielle Hubbard was putting together her plan to make a presentation at UBCM, and it was her first UBCM. And she did well, and there was a question from, or a resolution from ORL related to library funding that apparently passed in the resolution session. I attended at UBCM a reception at the Victoria Public Library James Bay branch, which was good and interesting, and libraries are far more than just books, and so I think people are starting to learn that. I also, the day before I left here for UBCM, Saturday the 20th, kind of tough for me because the Harvest Fest and the Pepper Fest in Karamias are the same day. And so I ended up in Karamias helping with the Smoke Sizzle Pepper Fest. I emceed the event. I helped with the eating contest as the MC for that. And aside from the MLA and one of the regional directors in the region, I was the only other elected official in the Similkameen present, and we had a good time. It was a good event, well attended. Weather was fabulous, and I guess I'll be there again.
So did you throw a ball at Director Roberts?
You know,
Did you
it's
dunk
funny.
it?
I had the microphone in my hand, and I talked it up that he was over there, and I don't doubt that I generated some activity because he did raise quite a bit of money apparently for the charity he was in the dunk tank for.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
We'll have to razz him about it tomorrow.
Please do.
And then just on the thing about the library, so the ask is what, that they are changing the formula, or what are they asking?
More funding like everybody else, right? I mean, you know, the libraries are stretched to the limit, and you know, there's a lot of expectations in a library by communities. I mean, it's a community hub in most communities. It certainly is in our community, and you know, there's a lot more pressure, a lot more demands, and that costs money.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilor McLean?
It's not good to go forth. Probably everything has been mentioned. The only thing that wasn't was at our opening game of the posse, we did a tribute to a well-known person of our community. And the entire family was there, and we were able to say a few nice words about a fellow that was a real contributor to me and a contributor to Princeton, and just an overall nice fellow to be around. Other than that, I agree with Councillor Gould about the rodeo, the young fellas rodeo. It was not quite as packed as a rodeo, but it was very close. There were a lot of people came to town for that, all to watch their kids and everything else. Anyway, we need to do a tribute of some sort to Rob Carlson and the whole rodeo committee for the amount of work that they took on, because I had been told in the past that it was a great event, but it was a tremendous amount of work, and they pulled it off, so thank them very much. And that's a bit,
Oh, but you missed something.
go ahead.
I'll bring it up.
Yes, could you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So before I start my report, I will say congratulations to Councillor McLean on your, what was it, 25 year, he's going to throw something at me, 25-year service to this community, and I can't thank you enough for all of those years as an elected official in our community. I know it's a lot more than that. You've been serving our community, but thank you, and I'm glad that it was pointed out to us so that we can get it in front of the UBCM so you could get the award there, because I know it's hard taking an award, but it's a good one. That's a good one. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, UBCM. Just before UBCM, I had a regional district meeting, but later that night I had the Okanagan Film Commission meeting, which I'm on for the district. Lots of activity happening in the valleys around us. We just missed another big production. Our biggest problem with landing a big production here is the lack of accommodations. So that's been a priority of ours, and it'll continue to be a priority of ours. So Greenwood's got a production coming. It's a CBC production, so it's not as big. And then there's quite a few happening in the Okanagan. There was 5 productions that were in production that day while we were having our meeting in the Kelowna area. So the Okanagan continues to be a hotbed of activity, and we'll see what the new round of announcements on tariffs are going to do to us in the coming days, which is concerning. UBCM, super busy UBCM. We had 10 meetings just for the municipality. I think total I had between 18 and 20. I can't remember how many actually was able to make. But overall, good reception. I think we're one of the few communities that weren't asking for money, which seemed to make most of the ministers happy, since the going answer to everything was there's no money. So we're hoping that we're going to hear back on a few of our things like housing and whatnot very shortly. Yeah, I don't know what else. I mean, we asked about Silvercrest. We're hoping to get a response on that soon, and some other things. So, yeah, overall, I think it was a good event. Victoria is a interesting place to go. You get to go and be in the legislature and pretty much wander the halls of the legislature. So it's pretty neat to be there. And I didn't get to go on the same tour as the rest of council, but our MLA Donovan Wilson did take council on a tour of the legislature, or even into the deepest parts of the dungeon, as they call it. So I hope everybody had a good time, and next year I believe is in Vancouver again, so it won't be as much back and forth and walking, but it will be a good one. Anything else that I'm missing? Okay. Go to 7.2. So these were brought to my attention over the last week. That's why they're coming forward as late items. One is to apply for ETSI-BC Fall 2025 grant intake application under the Building Economic Development Capacity Stream for the purpose of creating a plan for the exhibition grounds. So this is something that we had on our strategic priority list. Most of this can be done in-house, but some of the work that we'll need funding for would be, True Engineering or whoever to lay out where water lines, sewer lines, and stuff like that we need. So this grant is up to $25,000, fully funded if we get it. There's no matching funds required, so I ask that council approve the recommended motion. And I will write this grant. It's not a hard grant to write.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, moved by Elliott, second by Gould. Questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Can I actually say something
Yep.
related to this? I just wanted to say, and everybody in this room knows, as Councillor Gould was also involved in the board that was basically overseeing the operation of this site for many years, and my history here goes even further. Everyone who's ever been connected to this facility has always seen it as a source of great potential, but there's never been a way of actually cracking that nut, if you will, or actually being able to define it. And I think this is finally going to give us those answers and maybe some direction and show us that, that back 40 is something that is growing grass and could be doing a whole lot more.
Yeah. So right now, just for everybody's understanding, we have 3 departments that are kind of co-managing the maintenance and operation up there. So we have Public Works, we have Facilities, and we have Nadine trying to manage all the bookings and all that stuff. So it's a little bit chaotic, and it's not on anybody's one plate right now. So we're taking from here and there to try to keep the place running. Nadine and I had a chat a few months ago, and so that's why I'm kind of spearheading this, is because we need to come up with something, and I'm going to help facilitate those conversations so that we can bring in the stakeholders that we have, bring in our staff, and see where they seem to think we need to go. Lyle and I talked about getting some assessments done on the structures, because we always hear from everybody, oh, the structures are this, the structures are that. So we need some solids on it before the budget. So even before we know anything about this grant, we are planning on moving forward with something to get things moving, because if we want to see anything done, we have to get it moving. And this year we had a number of private events up there, but it is costing us more money than we're bringing in. So it costs every time Pete and his crew go up there. It costs every time Jared's crew goes up there, and it costs every time Nadine or her team are doing things up there. So I think it's important that we get this ball rolling sooner than later. So okay, with that, we'll move on to the next one, which is 7.3, and this is a Reddit grant for the airport plan. So Jared's the airport manager, and having chats with him, it's just not within his capacity right now. So this is another fairly easy grant to write, but we need to take the old plan, which was created in 2006. I think you were mayor at the time, Randy. And it hasn't been updated since, so we need to bring that up to date with the new stuff. If we start that housing project and whatnot, there'll be servicing close by and that. So this grant does have a component for the municipality. It's at 80% funded, up to $100,000. So what I'm suggesting after talking to grant writers is that we add an additional 15% to make it total of 135, with our contribution being 35% instead of 20. And after talking with the local provincial rep, the competition this year is going to be extremely tight. There's not a lot of money to go around, so every little bit that we can contribute will help for the success of this. James has said that we do have the funds in the account from the revenues off of the airport, so it won't come from taxation, it'll all come from revenues off of the airport currently. Do you want to speak to that a bit, James?
Sure. So without having a formal presentation, the airport has traditionally made money for the municipality. Usually it's the airport fuel. So the airport fuel, there is an administration fee on top of that covers administration. So there's always there's always a surplus out of the airport. This year we already made $93,000 on fuel sales, so when you calculate the 25% off that, we're pretty much there. So that would be the funding that I would advocate that we use for that.
Questions?
So to create a master plan.
Yeah, so we have one now. It'll be to well, we'll hire somebody, but it'll be to either update that one or make a new one based on all the changes that we've done up there. And we've done a lot of work between the last council and our council, between the, from the airport, what do you call it, the pilots, the terminal building, the previous council did the paving and then the fencing. We've done fuel upgrades, lighting upgrades, and whatnot. So there's quite a few things, but with the servicing being right next door now, there's potential for other activities up there that weren't available to us 20 years ago when we started all this stuff.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor McLean. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 8.1 and 8.2 letters for receive and file. One is from the Corporation of the District of West Vancouver, Office of the Mayor, and then the other one is the Minister of Children and Family Development. And the recommendation is that 8.1 and 8.2 be received and filed. Thank you, Councillor Willis.
Second that.
Councillor Willis, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And then correspondence action requested. The youth parliament, which we were looking at the display in Victoria. Recommendation that the letter and application from the youth parliament of British Columbia for youth to attend the 97th parliamentary session in Victoria at the provincial legislature chamber from December 27th to 31st, 2025 be forwarded to Princeton Secondary School, and that the town of Princeton pay the registration fee of $545 should a student wish to attend. Thank you, Councillor Gould. Secretary, Councillor McLean.
How young do you have to be able to qualify for that?
I think it's grade. Is it grade 8?
It's too late.
Oh, you want to go? 16. 16 to 21. None of us. All in favor? Carried. And motion to adjourn. Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Willis, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And thank you to anybody who's watching.
This is homework.